Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Gilda Evans, bringing you the Autism Resource Podcast. This podcast and the ARP website are your one-stop knowledge and resource space for autism and much more. I'm very happy to have Kari Baker join me as my guest today. Kari is a former financial services executive and business owner turned author, speaker, and podcaster. She is the founder of Kind Families, a community of people who love kids with invisible neurological differences, and is the host of the Kind Families podcast. Kari became a kind mom in 2014 when her son Brady was diagnosed with autism at age 3. She started Kind Families to encourage, support, and inspire others to find purpose and promise in their individual journeys. Welcome, Kari.
Oh, thank you. I was just so excited I had to jump in.
I'm just so glad you're here to join me and discuss the work you do today.
Oh, I'm just grateful, Gilda, for all you do as well. It's been a joy to get to know you and all the things that you're doing. So,
I so appreciate that. So, to start off with, tell me, how did you start to realize that Brady's differences may actually be something more than just developmental?
I'm a little bit different than a lot of other moms. We definitely noticed some differences in Brady that we didn't understand, probably from the time he was around 2, and a lot of that was social. So I would go to play dates with him, and I would really hope to get to know all the other moms there. But instead of getting to chat with them, I was chasing him because he was eloping and trying to get out the door or as far away from the other kids as possible. He would have extreme emotional breakdowns and during times that I didn't really understand why. He had things that we called sad moments where he would be on the couch watching his favorite show, just as happy as can be, and then all of a sudden tears would start to fall down his cheeks, and we didn't know the cause of that either. But it really started to become more apparent when he started preschool, because he was just not relating to the other children at all. We had one teacher who was fabulous. She would send home an email every night with about 50 pictures of all the kids and all the things they did that day. And as we looked at the pictures, we noticed that in circle time, Brady was always off in the corner and he was rolling around in his back with his arms and legs in the air. My husband called it doing the cockroach. Why is Brady doing the cockroach when everybody's supposed to be in circle time? And there were some very odd interests that we were curious about, but Brady's our only child. We had him late. I had not been around a lot of kids before having him. It struck me as odd, but I didn't understand it as an issue when he became extremely passionate about the Wiggles DVD covers that we had in the house and wanted to just hold them, wanted to line them up on the coffee table, wanted to take the insets out and have us photocopy them over and over and over again. So again, all these things were just floating around in my head until I came home one day and there was a magazine on my desk that I normally never open. But in it that day, I opened it up. There was an article about a woman who had a son that was diagnosed with autism, but much later in life at age 22 or 23. And the way that she described him as a child just hit me because it sounded so much Brady. And there was an online quiz at the bottom of that page, and I took the quiz. And wouldn't you know it, I answered 15 out of 15 questions, yes. And it popped up as a recommendation that we get our child evaluated for autism spectrum disorder. And it was one of those things where it was such a shock to see the words on the screen, but at the same time, I knew that's exactly what it was. Somehow in my mama soul and my mama heart, especially with some of the questions in the screener that were, I didn't even understand how they had anything to do with autism. I was 100% sure that's exactly what was going on. We really just started running from that point forward and trying to learn more about it and try to get him the help that he was going to need. And we were fortunate that he was 3 when that happened. And so we still had a lot of time to work with him.
All right, so then what made you decide to write a book?
It's funny. The first few years, I was just buried and exhausted and just running a million miles an hour. And honestly, thinking that it would just go away at some point. If we just ran far enough and fast enough, it would go away. And I started really looking for a different path for my own acceptance, probably 3 or 4 years in. And I really started deep diving into faith. And there was a gal at my Bible study who heard all my stories and she said, "You ought to write a book." And I said at first, "Oh, that's crazy. I'm a financial consultant. I'm not an author." But then I thought, gosh, there's all these other moms that are going through what I'm going through. I've looked for a book that would tell me the personal stories and make me feel not alone, make me feel like I wasn't crazy with some of the things that were going on. And I couldn't find anything but really just technical manuals and medical journals and things like that. So I started writing back then. This was 2018. And I wrote and wrote and wrote, and I hit a brick wall with it because I just didn't know where to take it from there. I knew I wasn't a therapist. I knew I wasn't a special education teacher. All of the different states have different resources for families with kids with disabilities. So I couldn't dive into that. And so I just stopped. And I think what happened then is I just needed the time to watch Brady grow, to watch him develop, to be able to see the things that he could do, to get to that level of acceptance myself to where I could say, "Oh my gosh, this kid was made exactly the way he's supposed to be made. I still want to help him with the challenges that he has so his life is easier, but look at all the gifts and talents that he has. Look at all the ways that he surprises us. Look at all the ways that he brings us joy." And so, after a few more years steeping in that awareness and acceptance of who he is, then the book changed. And it was still a lot of the hard stuff, obviously. That's part of the journey. But then I was able to also tell all the awesome stories about Brady in the last section of the book and all the ways that he's been brave and all the ways that he's accomplished things that we never thought were possible and the way he's impacted other people and made their lives better. And it was really in 2023, I was able to sell my business, which was a surprise. I was never planning on selling the practice, but it gave me and our family an opportunity to say, we feel like this is our mission now. Kind families or kids with invisible neurological differences, they need that community, they need that support, they need that hand kind of reaching back for them at the beginning stages of this journey. And so that turned into the book and the podcast and speaking engagements. And that's my full-time focus now.
So you mentioned Brady growing and changing and blossoming, and he's a teenager now, right?
Yes. He just
All
turned
right.
14. 14. He's
Okay.
going into high school next year. It's mind-boggling.
I understand. I understand very well. Been there, done that, got the
I know.
job.
I know you have.
How has your parenting changed? How has it adjusted over the years as you've watched Brady grow and watched the process happen?
When you're an autism mom, certainly in the first few years, you are in control mode, I would say, and protection mode, and you're in organization mode. You're trying to really make sure that your child is getting all the interventions that he or she needs so that they can build the skills to be more successful. And you also are trying to protect them from the things that they don't know how to relate to or they don't understand. And as Brady has gotten older and older, one of the things we've realized is that we have to give him some of that independence. We have to be able to put some of these decisions that we've been making on his behalf his whole life into his hands. And that has been a tough one for me. It's picking your battles for sure. One of the things that as a 14-year-old in today's world, all the boys have long curly hair. And I am one of those moms that would just really like a nice, neat haircut, nice, neat, close haircut for my kid. And he just is so passionate about having this long hair, and he has natural curls. He's very lucky with that. So he doesn't have to be like other boys and go get perms. But it's one of those battles that my husband and I just say he's passionate about it. This is about his identity and who he sees himself to be, and we have to let that go. And then it's also in some of the challenges that he's decided to take on where we've had to back off and say, okay, we've got to let him try and he might fail, but if he fails, he will learn something and hopefully we will be able to help him figure out what those lessons are. But if he succeeds, oh my goodness, this is going to be something that is going to be built into his psyche from now on so that when he does hard things, he can look back and say, "Oh my gosh, I did something hard. I've done hard things and I can do more. It's a letting go process that is challenging as a parent who has spent 10 years, we're now in the 11th year since Brady was diagnosed, of really trying to be that resource for your child. And sometimes it's just a matter of, I like to make decisions fast, and Brady is not a fast decision maker. And Brady has to mull over things, and he can even get a little stressed out with decisions, but I still have to let him take control of a lot of things in his life. And that's challenging.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. It can
Yeah.
definitely be a challenge. So, as a parent, what advice do you have for other parents who may have some concerns about their child's development?
Oh gosh. One of my passions is really to reach out to parents who are in that spot right now and say, please just go get an evaluation. Have somebody talk to them. It could be a school district. The school district can do it for free. If you can't afford an evaluation by a psychologist, there are scholarships. I know in our local area, there are foundations that are set up to help families fund evaluations. But one of the things that we learned that I think has had the biggest impact on Brady is the earlier you can start with some of the interventions to help them with emotional regulation and social skills and the things that don't come naturally to them, the better impact you will have. And if you wait too long, it's not to say that you can't still make a positive impact with your child. The earlier you can get them in and get some help, the better. And then the second thing is to find community. You're not alone. The statistics speak for themselves. Autism, it's 1 in 36 kids now. When you add in other things under that kind umbrella like ADHD and dyslexia and anxiety and sensory processing, all of these things, there's probably about 20% of the population of children that have something going on neurologically. So you've got families in your school, you've got families in your church. There are support groups on social media, Facebook, Instagram, to reach out to. There's your organization that people can look to know that they're not alone and that there are people that are constantly out there doing things to try to provide resources for families. But just it's better to know. And I know people get caught up in the labeling thing, but my advice is always that once you know what's going on, then it's your roadmap, and that's all it is. And you can decide what to do with whatever that diagnosis code is on that report. But if you have it in front of you, then you've got a roadmap for, okay, these are the ways that I can most likely help my child have the most productive and happy life that they can. And without that knowledge, you're just shooting in the dark.
So, on a personal note, what impacted you the most as you moved from discovery to making those adjustments and then ultimately accepting your role in, as you say, being a kind mom?
Yeah. Honestly, Gilda, it was really diving into faith for me. I was not somebody with a lot of faith before the process started and wasn't for the first couple of years. And that was the biggest impact. And what I could just say is that it taught me to stop looking inside myself and to say, oh, why did this have to happen to me? Why I did everything right. I'm a planner, for goodness sake. I had everything planned out the way I wanted it to be planned. And taking a step back and realizing that it's not about me, and understanding that even with the challenges my son had, he has so many gifts and talents. And if I can help nurture those and help bring those out of him, then he's going to be happier. I'm going to be happier. And he's going to have a positive impact on other people too. And so I found a purpose in that. And the purpose, it just started out being, I need to be Brady's champion. I need to be his advocate. I need to really approach things with gratitude instead of frustration. And that really, it changed everything. And it also, I think, changed things for Brady because his mom all of a sudden wasn't saying, oh man, I wish you'd just been born neurotypical. I try in every way I can to celebrate who he is. And that has helped him be confident in his autistic brain. It doesn't mean that he doesn't get frustrated too and have his moments, but I've taught him that he was made on purpose for a purpose. And we'll help him with the things that are challenging, but we want to nurture the things that he excels in so that he can go out and change the world someday.
Yeah. And I'm sure he will.
I think he will too.
So, Kari, is there anything that we haven't covered or that I haven't asked at this point that you would like to mention? And what do you think is the most important takeaway you'd like our listeners to get from our conversation?
I just want moms to know. I talk a lot about purpose when it comes to kids, kind kids, but I also want parents to know that they were made their child's parent on purpose as well. And that they have gifts and talents that sometimes you don't get to express when you're caring for a child that has some complex needs that are beyond what other children have. And one of the best things that I've done is explore, what am I good at? What are the things that I love to do? And in doing those things, it lifts a weight off of my shoulder because it gives me purpose that goes beyond just being Brady's mom, too. I love to write. I love to speak. I'm actually on the worship team at church. I was always the girl with the hairbrush in front of the mirror, and now I get to do it for a purpose. And I don't get paid. I would never get paid to do it. But it's finding that purpose for yourself is going to fill you up so that you can give more to your child. I think that's one thing that's important. And then just one piece of advice is find community, the community that you can locate, whether it's online or in person, will take some of the pressure off of you. I remember sitting down with autism moms the very first morning that I'd ever had a conversation with other moms who had kids with autism. And I just cried the whole time. And it was just such a beautiful thing to talk to somebody who speaks your language. And a lot of times, no matter how much someone loves you, your friends and your family, if they haven't gone through it, they are not quite going to get it. Another parent will.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. Also, Kari, I just want to thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story with us today.
Oh, thank you. It was wonderful being here.
If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast. You can find it on Apple iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, and other popular platforms. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you would like more information on this topic or anything else we've covered on the Autism Resource Podcast, visit us online at autismresourceproject.org/podcast. If you have a topic you'd like us to cover in the future, contact us through the website or comment on any of our social media channels. And be sure to check out our growing website often, since we are continually adding useful information and resources. I want to thank our listeners for spending part of their day with us. This is the Autism Resource Podcast, and I'm Gilda Evans, reminding you to take care of yourself and that special person in your life.